these people. Like you can't do anything. You just have to submit and wait. It's awful.
Yeah.
Start. Here we go. We're going live. I'll play a little intro music and then we can get going.
Was born.
I'm gonna start this music.
There's a farm. I was born. Wish.
Mary Poppins.
No, I picked this one out for Alicia. Close, Judy.
See a slide show.
I was born in Michigan, and I wish and wish again that I was back in the town where I was born.
White Lake.
There's a farm in Michigan, and I'd like to fish again in the river that flows beside the field of waving corn. A lonesome soul am I. Here's the reason why I want to go back. I want to go back. I want to go back to the farm, far away from home, with the milk pail on my arm. I miss the rooster, the one that used to wake me up at 4 a.m.
Ricky doesn't like the song, Alicia.
Love it.
Nevertheless, I want to be there.
You're about to see Ricky go into song and dance, which
Someone full of joy.
That's
Why I wish again that I was in Michigan, down on the farm. I want to go back.
it's almost done, Ricky.
I want to go back. I want to go back to
I love it.
that old farm, far away from home, with the milk pail on my arm.
People are gathering, Ricky. We've got 25 people or so watching online and joining us, so we'll start it here in just a second.
I think your great big cities
We're
there.
like 500, and then they listen to the.
I want to be there, see there, a certain someone full of charm. That's why I was
Oh, come on. Turn off your
that
phone.
I was in
Somebody FaceTiming you.
Sorry.
down on
Dave.
Big finish.
the farm.
All right. Welcome. This is John Stewart. You have joined us for 3 questions with Ricky Quinn. And Alicia is joining us as well. Hopefully, can you guys see? Can you see Ricky, Alicia? And Alicia, Ricky, can you see Alicia? Are we good?
Yes, everything's good.
All right, that's good. Well, we're live on Facebook right now. Last week, we were not live on Facebook. We tried to be live on Facebook, but I think our guest was so ugly it broke the camera. But if you are not familiar with this format, this is our 6th episode, Ricky. I told Ricky once we started booking guests, Alicia, we are now a show. So it went from being a webinar, kind of a conversation, to now it's a big show. And Ricky, looks so good in his special light, and he's got a special broadcast studio there in his house.
I feel a little left out on this whole light thing. I need to Amazon order special light.
Yeah, but like every good horseman, you've got a chair and a nice credenza behind you. So that's good. If Alicia spun the camera around, you guys would see like a conference table for 16 people. So where she has barn meetings where they all sit around the table and have like an apprentice style meeting. But we're excited. So here's the format. So Ricky, this is our 6th episode. The first 3 episodes, you and I sat down and I got to ask you 3 questions. And all of the videos now are on YouTube. There's a Ricky Quinn YouTube channel. Thanks, Ricky, for putting that together and hosting those videos up there. But the first 3 episodes are there. And then we had our first guest, which is Ryan Brand, and really had a great time talking about stockmanship and horsemanship with Ryan and getting to know Ryan. And last week was really special to me. We had Nick Donahue, who, Alicia, in one of the first episodes, we were talking about building a horse community, and when Ricky comes in and does a clinic, and really how important it is for people to just build a community. And And I am so envious of what you're doing down in Nashville when you post videos of your Thursday group and trail riding and everything you're doing down there. It really makes me jealous that I don't live in Nashville, because it looks like you guys are having a lot of fun. But tonight we do have Alicia Landman. She is from Michigan. That's why Ricky picked out that fun song. I want to go back to Michigan, and now lives in the Nashville, Tennessee area, where you still do a lot of clinics around the country, and she's available to do clinics. And I've seen her start colts with Brannaman. You've done the colt starting at Brannaman's place, and also at different clinics where he's done colt starting. So that's where a lot of people may know you and see you. So welcome. Ricky, you want to say anything to Alicia before we get going?
It's going to be a good time, John. It's going to be fun.
Well, first off, you're kind of brave to join us. You are the first female. And so, I told Ricky I was going to step up my game, and I am wearing one of these lovely wild rags, hoping to impress you. I thought I'd wear like some Nashville outfit for you, but
I'm really glad to be here, and I'm very impressed that both of you dressed up for this. You're both looking top notch as usual.
Well, we realize your talent fee is kind of high, so we need to step it up. But anyway, so the format now that we have a guest, it's still 3 questions, but I'm going to throw a question out for the 2 of you guys, and then Alicia, since you're the guest, you get to ask Ricky a question, and hopefully that'll get him talking, and then Ricky, this will scare me a little bit because usually we vet these questions, Alicia, but Ricky's going to ask you an unvetted question. So
I'm ready.
Yeah, I take no responsibility for it. But anyway, so my question tonight is really, this past weekend I rode with Brannaman, and I don't know if you've heard of him, Alicia, Buck Brannaman. He's a really good clinician, but he shared a story, and I know you 2 have both heard it before, but he was talking, one of the things that really spoke to me in the foundation class was he was talking about starting a lot of colts. He said he started thousands and thousands of colts, and how hard he worked at it, and how he didn't really, think that he was getting anywhere some days. And he said, he goes, and then I was where the colts were doing what I wanted them to do, and they were, doing everything, but they just didn't like me. And he said he looked in the mirror one day and said, I don't like you either, and really started the fact that he had to address some things in his own person, and how he, what he brought to the horses and what he brought to the colts. And after hearing Ricky talk about his journey with alcoholism and sobriety, and I've been blessed to know you, Ricky, from when you were not married to Sarah, then when you were married to Sarah, and then now with kids, how you've changed and progressed as a human being. And Alicia, I always call you a super mom because you balance it all, and you're still an incredible mom to Riv, and a great wife to Dave. And my question is, when you have those things, I'm like, when you became a mom, or Ricky, when you became a dad, how did that affect your horsemanship? Obviously, it takes so much different time, but Alicia, I'm going to toss it to you. How did becoming a mom really affect your horsemanship and how you approach the horses and everything?
Well, it has certainly been a learning and growth experience from, when I got pregnant, and I just thought, I'm just going to keep rocking and rolling and doing everything, and nothing's going to stop me. And I just remember, like, obviously the bigger I got and the more uncomfortable things were, I was like, whoa, this is, just nothing I've ever experienced, obviously. And I thought I had control of everything, and I literally had zero control. And it was a very good lesson for me. And I'm so grateful that I've had the opportunity to be a mom and raise Riv. And it just threw so many curveballs at me. And so I remember the day that I was going into labor, and, obviously we won't get into any of those details, but I was trailer loading a horse, and I took the job because it was like, I didn't know any other way but to just go on and be who I am. And I enjoy helping people, and I enjoy helping horses that, are having a hard time. So I showed up, and, it was 110 degrees in Minneapolis, and I was like, we're going to get this done. And we got it done. And I was driving home, and I'm like, well, that looks weird. My stomach keeps doing this weird thing. And then sure enough, that night, I ended up having Riv. But from that moment on, it was like everything that I thought I had control of, I had no control over. And that was a very hard adjustment. I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty sure I had postpartum depression, and I did not know it. But, being a true Midwesterner, you just carry on, and you just, you know, everything's good. And, you know, here I have this perfect little baby, and, you know, I have every reason to be very happy, but there was this part of me that was like, why am I not feeling like my joyous self? And I'm pretty sure that that's what it was. I never went and, you know, got help or anything, but the horses always have brought me so much joy in my life. And that's why I continue to do it, because it's just my happy place, and it's where I recharge my batteries and feel my best self. And when you have, you know, months on end where now you're able to take care of this new little human that's amazing and beautiful, but then you're like, whoa, I'm doing a total different job, and I have to just change. So change was very hard for me. I'm not going to lie. And, you know, I appreciate you saying that, you know, I'm a good mother and a good wife, but, you know, it's pretty messy. I'm not going to lie. Like, it's not, you know, every day is a new challenge, and there's always new things going on. And I love this role as a mother. But I definitely feel for the new mothers that, you know, are coming into it thinking, I'm just gonna, you know, grab the, you know, just go on and just, it is better, and it's lovely, and there's so many great things, but you do have to learn to change. And time management is a huge piece of that for me. Everybody who knows me knows that when I'm with a horse, I don't usually work with a clock, and that doesn't really work anymore when you are a mother, and, you know, you're responsible for dropping her off at school, picking her up. I mean, it's just, it does change. And so I've had to really learn to adapt my schedule to help my clients and help my friends, and then keep my marriage, and, you know, continue to, you know, be a part of this family, and for them to not disown me.
So Ricky, talk about your postpartum depression.
That was when I was drinking. I don't have that anymore.
Well, and I mean, I look at the, you know, this new justice, and I'm sitting there going, how can this woman have gone, you know, how can she have all these kids? How can she, you know, still be a mom, still have this job and everything else? And, you know, I think the only comparable thing is having all your horses and all your students, Alicia. I mean, it is a balancing act, a great balancing act.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what are you, Ricky? I mean, being a dad, how did that change you as a horseman? Or even, we know how Sarah somewhat changed you.
Yeah, a little bit. It changed me a lot, John. One of the things that here recently has hit me the hardest, and I talked about this a few weeks ago, is I'm starting to decide which horses I'm going to invest the majority of my time in. Mm-hmm. And that's been a very hard one for me, because Sarah and I were talking about this last night. You know, it's being a dad, actually, one of the things that is really hard for me is Sarah was very, 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 very active in horses. And since she became a mom, and she's got 3 of these little guys that are pretty high powered and have a lot of energy to them, as you know, if you're a mom, whether you have 1 or 6 of them, it's not, you don't just go out the door and just go do something. I mean, the mom's life completely changes so much. And that's really kind of, that's changed me a lot. In understanding that she doesn't even go to the grocery store the same way anymore. I mean, there's so many things that are so different for her now, you know. And then she loves to ride, but when she goes out to ride, it's not like she goes out to just ride for her. She's got 3 little kids that are following her, and so she usually tends to them and gets them on their ponies. And then maybe if there's enough time, but by the time they're on and they have fun, she gets her horse ready, and she might lead them and take them out into the hills, you know, and that kind of thing. But she really doesn't get to, at this phase where she is and what she's choosing to do, being a dad and watching that, just like tonight, my point is I feel for her and the love that she has for horses, but I respect her so much because of what she is doing to be a really good mom to our boys, to raise them, right? I'm so thankful to have her to where she's focusing and doing this. She's homeschooling and doing the whole thing, you know, and I just respect her so much for that. It's like tonight, I mean, I ride every day. I ride, and a couple of horses that I'm getting ready for next summer because I am going to show them to the public. And and she's so knowledgeable in so many things that usually when I ride, I'll come home in the evening and then visit with her a little bit about what took place, what I felt, where the horses are as far mechanically and that kind of thing. And I can tell it's not easy for her to have the conversation sometimes. I know she's happy for me, right? But sometimes I think she feels like, dang, I wish I could be in there experiencing the same thing, you know? So being a dad, watching my wife be a mom, that's part of being a dad too, right? I'm learning that a lot about that. And when those boys get to an age to where I can take them with me and they can kind of hold their own, they're going to be with me a lot. And that's how I'm going to then be able to give back to her and be able to then allow her to free up and get back to what she wants to do. Kind of, you know, Riv's of an age now that Alicia, well, Riv was just kind of wired that way from day one. So, I mean, just constantly going and riding and doing, you know. As far as just talking about me and having 3 kids, the biggest one, John, really has been what I choose to put my time into for horses. There's some horses out there that, like I said, I was talking to Sarah last night, and I ride them, you know, and today, it's gotta be a pretty bad one, but today I can recognize some spots in horses and I choose not to do it. I just choose not to do it because I've realized if I go out there and I ride that horse and I get hurt, I've put my wife, who's sacrificed a lot, right, and 3 little kids at jeopardy. I really have. And I feel that what I have done so far, traveling around and starting colts and doing things, I don't have to prove anything to anyone. I've done it for myself, and I'm very secure with that now. And so I think that's the biggest one. And that's been a hard one for me, kind of like with what Alicia's talking about, like, okay, now I'm pregnant and I don't have the power to do what I did before because now I got all this other stuff that's just changed, right? And I'm kind of in the same spot that I don't go and just grab a hold of horses the way I used to because 1, I want to stay safe for myself, but 2, if something happens, can't say enough, something happens, I've put my family at jeopardy and I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to do that. And when I was at the Joe Walter Clinic, he said to me, he said, Ricky, you know, relationships are way more important than horses. And a few years ago, I don't think I would have agreed with him, right? It's all about the horse and that whole thing, and which it is. But at the same time, my relationship with my family is a very, very, very big deal to me and a very important thing to me. And so I got to protect myself and make sure I'm putting myself into positions that I'm the breadwinner, man. I bring home the money. And if something happens to me, that shuts everything down. And I can't do that.
Well, and I mean, like in Alicia's case, that you've got some really great, I mean, I met some of your students and some of your friends that you ride with, and you've got a group of women who all have families. You know, I look at Rebecca and I look at these different, you know, that there has to be some sort of special camaraderie of just moms who find that time and you can actually pour time in together. I mean, how is that with your students? I mean,
yeah, and it is really fun. I mean, a lot of these people I've worked with and helped for 9 years now, and I know them really well, and they'll have trouble with, you know, certain things in their horsemanship or just, you know, in their life in general. And it's really rewarding to be able to help them through things that they're really stressing about. And, you know, I can be empathetic to the situation because usually I've been there a time or two with, you know, a horse so I feel very lucky, and it's amazing having really nice horses around too that some of them I have known for, you know, 8 and 9 years. And everybody is so amazing to let Riv ride their horses if I'm okay with it. So that has been such a blessing, because when I go sometimes to work and she has, you know, she comes along with me because she doesn't have any other choice. And especially during when school was,
how old is Riv?
She's 9 now.
9.
Yeah, when school was closed, she was coming with me to work every day. And of course that she was living her best life. I mean, if you ask her now, she would prefer to go back to that schedule. We did school in the morning and then we did horses all day long. And I would take her to lessons and they would have horses that she could borrow. And, you know, I would just, she has a lot of freedom that way, where she can, if I approve of the horse, you know, go get it ready. She can saddle all her own horses now. And she just rides. And I don't really do a whole lot of teaching to her. I just and I keep an eye on things, you know, because she was interested in barrel racing for a bit. She was interested in, you know, really going fast all the time. And I was like, okay, that's cool, but you need to, you need to just pay attention that you're not, you know, getting greedy about things. So that's been fun to watch.
How would you encourage, and this is still a part of my question 1, by the way, how would you encourage like other?
I have one more, John. I have one more thing. So like in the horsemanship side, how it's changed my horsemanship, it's caused me to be a lot more patient for a lot of reasons. For some reason with those kids, there's been times where I might jump the gun to correct them or something. And then because I know my kids, I've realized that's not what they meant. And it like breaks my heart that I went there with them. And so it's caused me to rewire me in some spots too now, that when I work with horses, it seems like I give them a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt rather than being so quick to get after them and correct them. Mm-hmm. So that'd be another big part for me.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I mean, it's just, it's interesting how, those of us who have ridden with you for a while, Ricky, it's incredible to see that progression. See that growth. And
it's just an act.
Well, Sarah's the puppeteer pulling the string. She's doing a good job.
Right. Exactly right.
So let me just finish my thought and then we'll go to Alicia's question as it relates to, like, you fostered this community of really strong women who are riding together, but then, like, you know, you had mentioned this briefly, as people are going through different things, whether they're going through divorce, whether they're going through just struggles with their kids or whatever it may be, how that horse fills in. I mean, do you at times feel like you're not only just a trainer and an instructor, that you are, I mean, it seems that you're doing a lot of therapeutic just work with the women that are in your lives, Alicia. How do you foster that community? And I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it seems like that's really something you've been able to develop down there.
Well, I think it's just part of life, really. And obviously the horses bring all these things out in us, whether we like it or not. And so I don't know that, obviously my intention is to help them with whatever horse things that I can, you know, help them get through and have more fun and be safe. But, you know, at the end of the day, when they walk into the barn, a lot of times you can just feel if they have like the weight of the world on their shoulders and they're not really focused on the horse. And so it's hard for me to not ask or to, you know, I let people share what they want to share, but it's hard to help a horse if you have so much going on in your own personal life that you're not really even there mentally to engage with your horse. And so, you know, a lot of times, that's sometimes where we start, and it's not intentional on my part. It's just, I can feel it, you know, and it doesn't feel right. And so if they're not ready to relax and be part of class, it's hard to go any further, really. And then some people are very honest with me, like, hey, I got some stuff going on, but I don't want to talk about it. I'll talk about it today. That and the other thing. And I'll kind of flow wherever people want to go with it. But, you know, I'm not a therapist, but at the end of the day, I mean, I'm sure Ricky can attest to this, that when you're in class and you're trying to help people, if you don't kind of peel back the layers and find out what's really going on with them, you can't get to the horsemanship very much. So
I don't, you know, I agree with you. The most compassionate words Ricky ever said to me when I was having a really hard day was, shut up and get on your horse and just ride. Just ride the damn.
And sometimes there's some of that too.
When he said just ride the damn thing, I think what he was really telling me was it was okay, John, to let your feelings out. He said this is a safe place, Ricky.
Well, and we know, John, that you're very good at talking and you're very good at communicating. And sometimes, you do just need to shut up and ride. And
Hey. we're not getting more people on Team Ricky Quinn here. Okay, so now it's your turn to ask Ricky a question. I've been looking forward to this. Go ahead.
Well, just something I've been thinking about in terms of being a mother to Riv and helping guide her the best that I can in her horsemanship journey. And a lot of times I try to just lead by example, but I know there's going to come a point in time where, she may want to do this professionally, even though I've tried really hard for her to be a vet or, something in those areas that I could use a little extra help. But if she does decide to go this route, other kids that are thinking about this profession, what kind of advice would you have for them to help foster that and give them the best start?
I know when I got started in it, looking back, I got started in it for reasons because it was, I was looking for something, I was looking for a mentor at the time. That's when Brannaman came into my life. And I was looking for something to complete my life, to balance me. Because of how I grew up, there was a little bit of an imbalance there, and it wasn't the easiest. And so what this horsemanship brought to me was that balance, and helped me find my way personally through life. So I think, I think there's a lot of different ways to get in it and reasons to get in it. That was mine, in your situation with Riv, I know you, okay. I know Dave, I know Riv, I know how balanced you say that your home is a hot mess and everything, whatever, right? I know that it's fairly balanced, and Riv doesn't have a lot to worry about, and that she's just being a young girl and enjoying life and just doing what she loves, right? And that's what I figured out is I'm also doing what I love. And so I think in Riv's situation, I think she's just doing absolutely what she loves. That. We've talked about it more than one time, right? And it's like you can't stop her from doing it. And she just does an hour. Yeah, like she'll ride the legs off your horses. Like you're like, Riv, you have to get off. It's been all day. You're going to kill him. Come on, get off. And so I think that like you were saying, leading by example, right? I've told you this. I've told my wife this. My wife agrees with me. I've told John this, a lot of people. I've told your husband this, right? So it's not a secret. But I think you're one of the classiest people I've met. And you, in saying that you are trying to lead by example, I think that when it comes to Riv, the parents always lead by example, but I also think there's a part there that with the aggressiveness of Riv is kind of, you got to lead by example, but just don't get in her way. Mm-hmm. You follow what I'm trying to say? It's like, just don't get in her way. Don't try to slow her down. Got a big motor to her and just get the hell out of the way. And she's going to decide and she's going to rock and roll. And she may end up, who knows? She may end up being a software engineer before it's all done. We don't know, right? Highly doubt it, knowing her, but we don't know. I bet she's in livestock, some form, one way or the other. And I think I already know the kind of parents you and Dave are. I already know the kind of person and quality person you are. All those boxes are checked. There's nothing to worry about there. Now it's just getting out of Riv's way and letting Riv attack what she absolutely, a burning desire inside of her. And so often, and you're doing that. You're doing that. And I think a lot of people get in the way. I really do. They get in the way. When I was in school, I hated school. To this day, I hate school. I'll walk into a building that reminds you of hallways of school, and I just cringe. Hated it. I was not a good student. I didn't get good grades. Barely made it through high school. Really struggled. I did not enjoy it. I enjoyed the friends. I enjoyed welding. I enjoyed ag classes, right? The sports that I played, football and wrestling. But I didn't like school at all. I wanted to be outside. I wanted to be in the hills. I wanted to do those kinds of things. That's one reason Sarah is taking time to homeschool the boys, is because these boys are so active and they want to be outside. And so we're going to get out of their way. It's 2 hours of school for now, and they're outside playing most of the day, getting out of the way, letting their mind go and explore and do. So, but there's that, right? The parents sometimes can be helicopter parents, right? And all these, you've seen it already, Alicia, right? You've seen it. The other part that I think is really, really, really important is making sure that your children are, as they get older and they start, I believe our job is to prepare our children for the world, right? And so, and helping them learn to, I always say this, like, I'm not the one that raises the kid. It's everybody else that you know ends up raising your child, especially the older they get. And I'm going to work hard to not get in a fight with my kids when they're in the teenage years, right? I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to work hard to make sure that those interests that they have are taken care of by people that know more than me. And like in the horse world, you know, I'm starting to stumble on some people in the cow horse world. They're really, really good human beings. And if my children decide to go that route, one of them or all of them or whatever the thing is, I have an idea of the kinds of people I want my children to hang out with on a regular basis. And I think that is something as a parent, right? That's not leading by example. That's seeing things coming, looking out ahead, and then helping set things up, right? Ahead of that kid where they don't even know, and it just lands in their lap. And they're riding with the best.
Yeah,
right? And it could be horseshoers. It could be, maybe they want to just run a pack string in the mountains outside of Cody, Wyoming. I don't know, right? But figuring out who the best is in that industry and what I don't mean the best horseshoer or the best dressage rider. I mean the best person. Right. Because it's not about the riding. It's about the kid learning how to control their emotions as they grow up, especially through those teenage years, right? Controlling those emotions, knowing who they are, and having that support of people that you know to help your children do that when you're not there. And so that's something that's on my mind a lot, right? That takes a village, and that's what it is. So you are who you hang out with, figuring out where we're using Riv as an example, or my boys. Riv really rides a lot, and you'll start to see things shape up, a direction that she wants to go with her horsemanship, figuring out who in that is, and get the hell out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
That's great advice.
Well, I tell you, from my perspective, and both of you guys are younger than I am, and your kids are younger, obviously, but you know, it's funny to hear you, Ricky, talk about getting the right people and putting them around the right people. You know, when my son was 4 or 5, he wanted to race cars because I was working in the racing industry. And, you know, I bought him a quarter midget, and the very first time he got in that car, he hit the wall and tore the car up. And, you know, then I had some friends that were killed and, you know, at the top level and open wheel racing. And I made a decision that he wasn't going to, you know, come hell or high water, he was not going to go in that path. And, you know, I still look at this day as a 24-year-old son, and he's done well, you know, he's doing well in his own right. But I know in the back of his mind, that's what he always wanted to pursue. And, you know, I see you guys saying, you know, kind of, I wish that I had the courage to do what you're saying, Ricky. And that is, whatever your kid wants to do, you're going to get the right people around him and kind of help them, you know, figure that out. And that's not spoiling your kids. It's supporting them where they want to go with their life. And, you know, this kind of started out as a joke saying, Alicia, you know,
it's your job. It's your job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love, that you talked about that, Ricky, growing up, you know, getting opportunity to ride with a lot of different instructors and a lot of different disciplines. When I worked at Bay Harbor, I mean, we had so much freedom to bring in who we wanted to learn from. And so we were like, great, let's do it. You know, I mean, hunter jumper riders, dressage riders, it was a little bit of everything. And it was really great to learn, you know, which people helped me feel just empowered and feel great about what I was doing. And then there were those few that would come through and they would just rip you apart, and you'd leave thinking, I think I just need to take up knitting. You know, this just isn't for me. And to be young and to be really energetic about what I was doing. And, you know, I spent every waking minute thinking about horses and how I could get better. You know, when I experienced that, I was like, I never want to be that teacher, you know, because that is just, it's just a bad feeling, you know, and nobody pays to go feel terrible about themselves or any of that. So I can see as Riv grows older how important that will be to me, because I want her to be challenged, and I want her, you know, obviously we all have to hear things that we don't necessarily want to hear sometimes, but the delivery of the way that information is given to you can really make you or break you. And I think that's a very good point.
Awesome.
Ricky, I did hear you. You were cutting up a little bit, but I did hear you say that's your job as a parent. That is your job.
Yeah, you know, once you, as far as what I'm learning, right, your job as a parent is once you have children, you're supposed to be giving them the foundation to go out there and live in the middle of this shit show, because everybody agrees that that's what it is, right? And I mean, to try to just get them the best prepared you possibly can to be able to handle the things that are going to confront them in the future, right? And and I'm so fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of people all over the United States of America that there's so many people I could just pick up the phone and on any subject and be able to visit with them and learn something. And I want and I'm very, very lucky. Growing up in central Wyoming, a lot of times you don't, if you just stay in one spot like that and don't get to travel and get out there, it's tough sometimes to find that balance, you know. And that's what I'm so thankful about all the traveling that I did and to be all over, is to get different perspectives on what's John. I mean, you're the master of it. Nobody really still knows what you do for a living, right? But we don't. Do you know what he does, Alicia? I still don't know what he does. But all I know is he's traveling all the time, from Germany to who knows where, right? Taking pictures of in these hot mineral bags in Iceland. And
he connects people. That's what you do.
My wife wants me to travel, Ricky. You might know that.
Gotcha. But my point is knowing somebody like you. I mean, you know so many people, you can relate to what I'm saying, that there's such a big world and there's so much knowledge. That's one thing I've learned in this horsemanship, is there isn't just one person that's good at horsemanship. I used to think that, and that person is at the highest on my list. But I'm starting to learn that there's some people out there that have an incredible feel for horses, an incredible feel that I didn't really understand. And I'm starting to respect that a little bit. But then there's also people out there that have had a lot of experience with human beings. And I just want my kids to find those people, good ones. There's a lot of people, but I really want I want to help my kids learn how to recognize a good one, if that makes any sense.
Makes a lot of sense. And even though some of those people who know horsemanship, they're sharing the same DNA, you know, whether it be that, you know, the Ray Hunt, Tom Dorrance type DNA, I would assume, but who they are as people and how they know people. It's, I mean, you look at Alicia, you were talking about Riv. She has a different life experience than you did growing up in Ten Sleep, Wyoming. And, you know, when she goes in this, she's going to bring a different life experience, a different perspective, and you know, what she's done and seeing how her mom has affected people, and it'll be neat to see how she grows into it. Anyway, well, thanks for that question, Alicia. Now it's the risky time. And this is when Ricky Quinn gets to ask you a question.
Yeah, it's kind of on the same thing, and I don't know exactly how you'll answer it, and you already know what it is, but it's kind of reversed right back to you. You kind of asked me what my advice is, right? On how, what's your advice, Ricky, on, to help a child move along in this thing? And I think my question to you is, the relationship that you have with Rick, I want you to talk a little bit about, because I know there's a lot of people on here that would like to hear about it. I've seen Sarah with our boys and how she interacts with them and the horses, right? And I know that she has a different feeling in her stomach when she watches those boys ride or go through something, and how she helps them. And teaching Reed how to post the trot, and I watch that and how much she laughs in the process and the whole thing. I don't do this. I don't react the same way. I'm not really sure. There's probably something wrong with me, right? Which I know. But I don't react the same way. And I have an idea that you're a lot the same with Riv that Sarah is with the boys. And can you talk a little bit about and share on here, what is that? Is that just being the mom and you gave birth to it so you love it more than the dads do? I don't know what the deal is, but how in the world do you guys interact with them, make it that much fun? And because that's a huge part of it, Alicia, is it's fun for Riv, and that's why she keeps wanting to come back, and spend the days with you. It's the horses, but it's also how you are presenting it to her. So I'd like you to talk about that.
Yeah, it's I'm not really sure, even if this is the right answer. I mean, I don't know that there is a right or wrong answer, but obviously watching Riv has been pretty eye-opening, because I never thought that I would actually have a child that loved horses as much or maybe more than I do. And so it's been very easy, and it's almost been the most difficult part has been keeping her away from the horses. Like if we want to go on vacation or go somewhere, I mean, she is just distraught that she's not going to be around her horses for 4 or 5 days. And so that has been really easy, that she loves it that much. And when I see her make mistakes, I have had to stop myself and just be like, take a breath, I mean, she's like, clearly when she's riding Marlin, he takes really good care of her. And I feel like she's developed a lot of feel by being around that horse. And then when I decided, I told myself I would never buy a pony. Like, I'll never buy a pony. There's no need to buy a pony. And so I finally broke down and bought the pony, because I met Cupcake and I was like, all right, this is cool. Like this pony, he's been around, he knows a few things. He's not the softest pony by any means. He's all the things that I thought I would never want her to feel in a pony, because I didn't want her to realize that side of it. I always wanted her to ride the softest horse and the most responsive. And she got that from Marlin. But I also recognized that I needed to stop telling her like, hey, do this, hey, do that. I started catching myself micromanaging her way of riding. And when Cupcake came into our life, it was just the best thing, because there was just a little bit of him being a trooper, and he would allow her to make mistakes, and he would be the one that would correct her. Suddenly I was able to step back and just watch her find something that was a bit of a struggle. And she had to learn, how to persevere and how to have a horse throw something towards her that I was not going to provide too much feedback on, and watch her just see what she did. And I knew Cupcake wasn't going to hurt her, but I knew he was definitely not going to do what she wanted if she was going to try to force things to happen. And watching that relationship grow, I mean, I just really am so pleased that I said yes to the pony, because she had days where she would leave and she was in tears because she couldn't get him to do X, Y, or Z. And we would talk about it And then the next day she would go to the barn and she'd be like, I don't think I can get him to do it. And I said, well, let's try, and she'd want to ride Marlin, and because she knew she could get him to do anything. And so that has been a great learning experience for me. And I didn't really know if what I was doing was okay, because I felt like, gosh, I wish she'd get that pony soft, and I wish she'd, work on some of these other things. But she had to discover that kind of on her own. And I needed to not be there every second telling her, do this, do that, like I do in my daily work life, where I help people. I see something and we kind of attack that. And I just recognized that that wasn't going to work for her. She kind of needed the pony to teach her. And it was very successful in that fact. And she tried to, give up on him twice when certain things weren't working. And then she got through it. And now I see her, and it's just like, he has changed her riding, but he's also changed her confidence in herself in a lot of other areas that I don't think she could have gotten that without horses. So it's pretty special.
You're just getting out of her way.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and she's starting to ride a new horse now. His name's Rue. And, I have to thank the Kings, because that's the place where I am able to teach my Thursday group lessons, and I keep 2 horses at their place. And Shayla and Jeff King own it, and their daughter Rachel has been Riv's instructor. And so even though we ride together a lot, I am so grateful for her weekly lessons and helping Riv, because there's times when I will try to teach her and she's like, Mom, you don't know anything, stop talking. And I'm like, okay, and I'll let Rachel help her, and she listens to Rachel, and Rachel has a really good feel about the things that she does with a horse. And I trust that what she's helping her with, we speak the same language, and she's done more of the performance horse stuff. And I haven't done as much of that. And, Riv and I are both starting to show in the Tennessee Stock Horse Association. And, I take Marlin, and, I ride my best reining pattern I can. And, and we have fun. And, Marlin, he's 18, but, he's still doing great. And so that's been really rewarding to watch her want to go out there and, ride the pony through a pattern, box a cow, do all that stuff. And there's a ton of, opportunities for both of us to learn. And so Rachel's able to help Riv, but Rachel's also helping me. So it's great.
It's so refreshing to hear. It's so refreshing to hear your kids listen to other people. My biggest frustration, if I tell my kid something, he doesn't listen. But, if Allison, who was teaching him how to ride, says the exact same words, she's brilliant, and it becomes gospel, even though it's the same word I just said. But it's good to hear.
And that's why, every opportunity I get to have, when Ricky was coming through town, like, come on, Riv, let's go ride with Ricky. And, she has absorbed so much from being around like-minded people and, just great horsemen that are in it for the right reasons. And so, she got to ride with Buck, and she loved every second of that. And, riding with Ricky, and when Scott Stokes rolls through town, and I'll rope with him, and, she comes along, and so she's mostly just riding around, but I always find that she's listening. I mean, she gets more out of it than I think she's getting out of it. She'll come home, and then I'll watch her with the horse, and I was like, oh my gosh, she was listening, I mean, it's really exciting.
Yeah.
Well, you guys can see, thank you for people who are watching this, and I know we're already at 50 minutes or so, but thanks for the comments. I mean, Liz, we got people watching on Zoom and on Facebook, and Liz Clark has made some comments here. You guys can probably see, saying you can't live your kids' lives for them, but you can be there to listen and support when they're in the mindset to take it in. I like that. And then She also talked about moms like laughing as much as possible as my guess. That's really awesome, Alicia, just talking about how you balance all that out and bring something different. But even Rebecca Talbert joined us on Facebook, and she says, this is why it's important to surround yourself with people ahead of you so you can be guided. And I know, Ricky, when we started out this kind of idea of doing 3 questions, we were going to talk a lot about horsemanship and talk a lot about horses and stockmanship. But our time with Alicia really, the thing I really like about the theme, and Nick kind of hit it last week and Ryan the week before, what our real conversation has been around is really around life balance and, what you're talking about. And, to hear how Alicia is doing it in her own professional walk, but also just with Riv as a mom and doing that, and how we're trying to seek this, take this life balance. Is there anything in closing you want to talk about that, Alicia or Ricky?
Yeah. I mean, the village is kind of how I always think about it. And, if it weren't for all the people that are in my life that, I'm maybe helping them with their horses, but they're helping me with, being a good example for Riv and Dave, he's not a horse person, but he's so supportive in, that I'm working Monday through Friday at the barn, and then we're gone to horse shows on the weekend, and then we're gone to clinics. And so it's very time consuming, as we all know. And I do try to take the occasional day off. But it's few and far between, really, because it's just kind of all the time. It's such a lifestyle. So I think that keeping a good group around you that keeps you in, heading in the right direction. And that's why I'm glad to know you guys. I can call you up when I get stuck. I can be like, hey, who should I seek out for this?
Yeah, I have no idea. Good luck. I gotta find another friend.
She's never called me Rick out once. There's not been a problem in Alicia's life that she felt like she needed John's input on anything. So
I'm gonna leave that.
When I need a new scarf, though, I know exactly who to call, because you have all the best scarves.
Speaking of that, last week we said that for our people who watched, if they would share the feed, that we would do a giveaway. Jesse Donahue from Silver Spade Silks agreed to participate in this promotion. And Alicia, since you're our guest, I've got 51 names here that I've numbered off. And give me a number between 1 and 51.
45.
Ooh, Danae Rudy is the winner of our lovely rag. You know her, do you not, Ricky?
I do. Congratulations.
Congratulations. In spite of her questionable taste in men, she is going to have a wonderful, beautiful
That's
taste.
A good one.
Yeah, well, it is questionable. But Danae, I'll hook you up with Jesse, and she'll let you pick out whichever one you want, and I will send it off to you. And that's courtesy of Ricky Quinn Productions and Jesse. So
there you go.
Well, Alicia, I can't tell you, you're brave to join us, and I'm thankful that you stepped up and especially after the promo when Ricky said some words that I didn't really think was appropriate for having a female guest. But next Tuesday, Ricky, we do not have a guest slated for next Tuesday because we're going to be watching the presidential election and seeing who's going to win. So I think we're going to shoot on having a conversation next Wednesday, which is actually the day Democrats are allowed to vote. So just remember, if you're a Democrat, next Wednesday, you can go to the polls and vote, and then join us at 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock. What, Ricky? Is that not true?
I'm trying to figure out, are you a Republican or a Democrat? I can't tell.
Well, I don't know, but all I know is somebody told me that Democrats can vote on Wednesday, and they've got special lines. But no, I don't care what party you vote for. Go out and vote. Make sure you vote before next Tuesday. And thank God, as of next Wednesday, we will no longer have political commercials running on our TV shows every minute or two. And I'm willing to bet that next week, Ricky, when we get together on Wednesday, we will still not know who's won the presidential election. But we'll have a conversation. We'll have a conversation next week. So, Alicia, thank you.
Thank you both for having me.
And thank you, Alicia.
I mean, tonight we've had a lot of people joining us live. People saying hello. People, Cindy Love says, I know her. Mary Brownlee, thanks so much for this. Oh my gosh, Ricky, we need to have Alicia on here all the time. Actually, we need to have 4 questions with Alicia Landman, and based on the crowd and the people who are responding here, it's really good. People are actually commenting. So
I figured I was on my way out. That's what I figured.
We're done. And I'll tell everybody it's a contract dispute, because anybody who knows you knows that could be the issue. Yeah, Ricky's hard to deal with it.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true.
Alicia's people are a lot easier to deal with.
I'm impressed with, how both of you were very professional tonight. And, I know we're still going, but there were a lot of things you didn't bring up that I'm very proud of you both. I just want to say
that comes with age.
Wouldn't dare.
Restraint. Anyway, all right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining. Alicia, thanks. Ricky, we'll see you next week. Look forward to it. And
Thank
everybody,
you guys.
share the broadcast. Check out Ricky's YouTube channel. Hit like on the page. We're trying to get more people involved in this conversation, not for ego or for anything else, but really just as we seek life balance and improve our horsemanship and improve ourselves as human beings. I just want this to be a good place for you to meet some new people and hear their perspective on life. And tonight's a great example of seeing how Alicia approaches life and approaches being a mom and a wife and horses in general. And I definitely benefited from it. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.